It's easy to think of the Queen's Guard as some human statues who do not even blink as the world goes on around them. You'd think they're robots built to stand all day by Buckingham Palace and photobomb those willing to have a snap for Instagram. However, they are humans like us. They simply have undergone extensive training to carry out their duties as they do. They're responsible for defending the royal family, who, as everyone knows, is a fairly high-profile family, infamous for keeping their private lives quiet. Very quiet, in fact. Logically, anyone tasked with protecting a family with more than a few skeletons in their closet is certain to have a few secrets they don't want you to know, right? Well, in today's video, we'll help you peep behind the royal curtains and allow you in on some of the secrets of the royal guards that the family hopes you never find out. Before we get started, be sure to click the subscribe button and click the notification bell for more amazing content. Let's begin. They are usually extremely bored. You can agree that standing in one place with not too much to do can be an extremely boring task. So it's not surprising that many royal guards have claimed that standing there on shift as immobile as a statue makes them extremely bored. It doesn't matter how trained or disciplined you are as a person, following the same routine every day without much activity to do, extreme boredom is bound to set in. In fact, some of the royal guards have even reported that to deal with the extreme boredom, they often chant tunes repeatedly in their brains to pass the time. It's even worse, to a point where some of them are so excellent at passing the time that they can recite entire movies from memory. And for the few talented and fortunate ones, they can add photobombing tourist photos while retaining a professional, aggressive posture to a list of activities they engage in to pass the time and entertain themselves without losing their trained conduct. And the rest? They just aren't interested in appearing in other people's pictures, so they're just satisfied with watching the tourists gawk at them as they walk by. However, it is a frequent misconception that the Queen's Guard does nothing but stand around all day. Although this is a difficult aspect of their work, it's only one piece of the complicated collection of activities they do to defend the British royal family. For example, they are allowed to turn to the left, march 10 paces, turn around and return to being still when on shift. They do this every 10 to 15 minutes to avoid fainting or passing out due to the blood accumulating in their legs and feet. They hate summer. Well, the possible reasons behind this can't be too far-fetched. There are so many reasons why a Queen's Guard despises summertime. However, the first of them is the most obvious: heat. After a few hours scorching in the blazing heat, wearing that bearskin cap would let the sweat just drip off. Considering the fact that they're not even allowed to wipe the sweat off their brows, you can imagine how much of a difficult situation they have to put up with during summer. Not to mention the bad smell that may result from the sweating. Sweat trickling down your face to your neck without the ability to wipe it off is such an unsettling sensation. You can even feel it just by thinking about it. The good part is, at times, a kind member of the royal family service personnel will occasionally come out to offer a drink to the Queen's Guard. It's one of the few times they're able to break formation and remain hydrated. Although the heat and the bad smell are nothing pleasant for Queen's Guards, what irritates them the most is the black boot polish that melts under heat. The Queen's Guards don't get to choose the kind of polish they use on their shoes. They're required to use the specific type that the unit commander requires, which melts in direct sunshine. So out of the time they should have spent resting between shifts, they spend it reapplying the black polish and shining the shoes. I mean, you're always expected to look unscathed if you're guarding the Queen. Friends with the Queen. When we say friend, you didn't expect we meant in every sense, right? What we mean is literally when guarding the world's most royal family, there are high chances you'll have an encounter with them at some point during your career. And when you do, it's not going to be a moment you'll quickly forget. In fact, a Queen's Guard never forgets the first time Her Majesty addresses him. One of the guards recalls a day when Queen Elizabeth and Prince Philip went for a walk with the royal corgis. She approached, introduced herself, inquired about his name, and spent a few minutes of polite small talk getting to know him. It shows that the Queen is a genuine person, not just a face on stamps or the back of copper coins. The hats. Why do the Queen's Guards wear those kinds of hats? I mean, to say the least, it looks absurd, and we're sure the royal family has the funds and imagination to come up with something better than that, right? Well, there isn't a clear answer to why the royal family chose this particular kind of hat. However, part of the main reason is because of the intimidation element it brings in those days, even though they're getting more laughter and curiosity these days. According to history, people back then were not as well behaved and extra motivation to keep them in check was needed. This brings about the reason for the bearskin on the head. A bear charging towards you will quickly signal a serious situation you shouldn't joke with, right? Another thing about the hat is the chain chin strap, which obviously doesn't make them long enough to be strapped to the chin. So what's the point then, you ask? Well, before the invention of automobiles, horseback riding was a common means of transportation. A directed musket shot to the hat of any Queen's Guard protecting the castle would send it flying off the Queen's Guard's head rather than the force of the impact shattering their necks. Speaking of necks, having a strong cervical spine is one of the requirements of becoming a Queen's Guard. The reason for this is because a bearskin hat can weigh between 2 and 4 kilograms. In American terms, that's between 4 and 9 pounds. When it rains, however, it gets even worse. The water and moisture soak up into the animal's hair, making it even heavier. We can see why these people aren't smiling. They're clamping their teeth to keep their heads upright. They do show emotion. Contrary to what some people would have you believe, the Queen's Guards are no robots. They're simply well-trained human beings with a high level of discipline. Nevertheless, no matter how trained a man can be, they're still humans, and surely there's nothing perfect about humans. Even though years of specialist military training have gone into transforming the Queen's Guard into an emotionless and expressionless mask of order and decorum, a Queen's Guard has cracked a smile or even burst out laughing on more than one occasion. It's just one of those things that happen from time to time, and sometimes stifling laughter just won't cut it. For example, if a tourist in front of you takes a one-way trip to the floor because they're too preoccupied with eyeing a Queen's Guard to watch their step, all you can do is let out a little bit of laughter. Real bear fur is used. Well, this is self-explanatory from the name bearskin caps. However, we will still take the time to spell it out just in case you missed the point. Bears were hurt in the production of bearskin caps. Well, sort of. But hey, it's not like the guards go on a bear killing spree every evening so they can get new materials for the production of their next batch of hats. In fact, once a hat is made, it gets fixed and repaired as much as possible until they become threadbare before they get replaced. And because of the quality of the material, the timeline of the need for the replacement can be up to 50 years. We guess the royal family had also had a thought about sustainability and animal cruelty, which made them try a different technique and utilize synthetic fabric. But the hats barely lasted a few months before the black colour ran out and the hat was ruined. So as it stands, we think it's still going to take a while before the royal family will move away from using real bearskin cloth to produce the Queen's Guard's hat. Their weapons are usually not loaded. This may come as a surprise to you, but it's true. More often than not, the weapons the Queen's Guards carry are not loaded. Only when a heightened degree of threat exists, or there is reason to believe an attack on the British royal family is imminent, will a Queen's Guard firearm be loaded with live ammunition. The majority of the Queen's Guards say they've never been told to load ammo into their rifles, which is a good thing. There's no chance of an accidental discharge of live ammunition happening. They really hate being mocked and imitated. If you get too close, you'll hear firsthand how loud a Queen's Guard's voice can be when they begin shouting to exuberant bystanders to move. Get back! Get back or make space for the Queen's Guard to arrive. We'd happily never say a word at work if it meant we could scream at our co-workers in the office to clear the way for the coffee guy. Imitation isn't flattering. Therefore, it's no surprise that the Queen's Guard despises tourists who try to replicate their signature stride and march. They're not allowed to break character and instruct tourists, so they have to stand by and watch some hapless tourists make a mockery out of what they do as part of their job. They're highly trained soldiers. The elite British Royal Guards are not to be taken lightly, and they can bash your head in if given the authorization to do so. There have been cases in the previous generation of Royal Guards that actually did it. Many of them are highly trained soldiers who have previously served in the British or other special forces. These soldiers have served in military operations in Kosovo, Iraq and Afghanistan during the last few decades, where they wore more fitting uniforms. Even regular sentinels are not as straightforward as you may believe. The finest performing soldiers from some of the British Army's greatest light infantry, mechanised infantry, air assault infantry and parachute infantry regiments and brigades are also recruited. Many of the guards are also drawn from the elite Royal Marines of the United Kingdom. Women are generally not allowed to be guards. It's not that women aren't capable of such service, but the life of a guard was created for tough boys who are willing to engage in combat, so it's remarkable that some women have managed to make a profession out of it. Megan Cotto became the first female captain of 40 Royal Guards from Canada in July 2017, a year after the United Kingdom legally authorised women to participate in combat operations to a limited level. They simply couldn't have enough experience up until that point to qualify for the role of the Royal Guard. The bearskin cap. It's strange that someone thought this awkward helmet would be a decent choice for an elite guardsman, but it turns out this cap has a lengthy and interesting history during the decisive Battle of Waterloo and the fight against Napoleon's dominion in Europe. Against the British 1st Infantry Division, the renowned French general dispatched his best Grenadier Guards. Napoleon's personal bodyguards, the Grenadier Guards, were considered the best soldiers in Europe and wore their skin to frighten opponents. After defeating the adversary, the British stole the caps as a souvenir. Since then, the Royal Guards have been required to wear these clumsy headgear as a continual reminder of victory. Alternate uniforms. The Guards' wardrobe also includes a grey outfit. The royal family's guards wear a heavy woolen coat in cold and wet weather in autumn and winter, and it keeps them warm regardless of the temperature. Take a peek at these Thai royal household troops if you've ever wanted to see how a guard's outfit would look in a different hue. The English army seem to have fallen into a tank filled with various colours by accident. That'll do it for today. Let us know what you think of the video in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like this video, subscribe to our channel and click the notification bell to receive new updates.